NFC offseason grades. We did AFC last week, NFC this week, grading from the time the season ended till right now. So free agency, draft, everything. Let's do it, NFC edition today. Let's start in the NFC North. To me, let's go with the Lions first. To me, it's a B. I didn't love their first two picks. I didn't think they got any value in the first round, but the rest of their draft is really strong. Don't love that Jameson Williams is now suspended. They had to lose a couple receivers because the whole gambling suspension thing,
that
right?
wasn't great.
Not ideal. Defense still leaves a lot to be desired, but overall, really nice offense. They did add a couple good pieces on offense. Again, not a ton of value, but a good tight end from Iowa, good running back from Alabama. They do get a linebacker, which they needed, although, again, not great value. Nonetheless, they did improve a little bit. Not as much as I would have hoped, so it's a B.
I agree. And that team is still headed in the right direction. I don't think by any means that this draft solidified them in the basement anywhere.
No.
They're still going to, I think, compete for the NFC North. I think the NFC North has gotten significantly weaker since Aaron left.
I think it's wide open.
And let's be real, the Vikings, a team that's coming up here, they're not going to be able to keep pace and go 11-3 in
11-0 in one-score games, but yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, I thought
that's nuts.
It was very lucky season for them. I don't see them doing that again. I think the Lions kind of have it this year.
Yeah, they regress back to the mean a little bit. But then let's go with the Vikings. I think they had a B+ offseason. I love the Jordan Addison pick. I think Jordan Addison with Justin Jefferson. You have two of maybe the top 10 route runners in the league. That's insane.
Yeah.
So you have guys open almost every time. They still have the good tight end, TJ Hawkinson. They didn't lose a ton of pieces. They added a couple savvy vets here and there. Like I said, love their draft. Couple good veterans in the back end, right? They improved their secondary through the draft. So definitely a good, solid offseason. Again, nothing flashy. But they didn't really lose anybody where you're like, oh my God, what are they going to do?
Now, do they have a lot of primetime games scheduled? Do we know that?
I don't know. I didn't even look.
Because if there's a lot of primetime games scheduled for the Vikings,
yeah, that could be rough.
That could be rough.
I don't think there's a ton. I think they have 2 or 3, which is usually what they have.
I mean, we know how
Kirk
Cousins get.
He'll probably win 1 of 3. If he plays 3, he'll probably win 1. Depending on who it's against.
In a good year.
What if it's against the Bears or something?
I mean, yeah, but do you really see a primetime game, Bears and Vikings?
I feel like it'd be one of those weak-ass Thursday games.
I guess so.
You know what I mean?
That could work,
I hate those Thursday games, but that could be it.
Yeah.
All right, Green Bay. Green Bay B- for the simple fact that I think it was the right time to move off Aaron, but nonetheless, you're moving off a 4-time MVP level player, right? So you're not going to be a better roster without him. Right? I think it was the right time to move on. But at the end of the day, you're still starting a guy who has sat for 3 years,
It played 1 game,
and he was okay.
It's like you said, it's what they needed to do. But now you're going to go through a couple years of regression, and you have to know that.
Right.
But it doesn't mean that you're screwed, because now you can start to move in that right direction. You can go get the quarterback that you want if Jordan Love doesn't pan out to be what you think he's going to be.
Yeah.
You have a great quarterback draft coming up next year. So, look, it's not the end of the world for Green Bay. It's just this is not going to be their best season.
No, I do like their draft. I like Lucas Van Ness, the edge rusher from Iowa, I believe.
Yeah, Iowa.
And then they got a couple wide receivers, in the later rounds. So I didn't mind their draft at all, but B- for Green Bay.
I agree.
The Bears, to me, is a B+. I don't love that they overpaid for some linebackers, but nonetheless, the roster is significantly better today than it was at the end of the season.
I agree.
A lot better.
Yeah.
A lot better.
And hopefully Justin Fields can kind of get his footing a little bit more with these new pieces.
I really like the Darnell Wright pick. I was hoping he would fall to the Steelers, but I also thought Broderick Jones would be gone by then, so
It didn't pan out the way we thought it would, but, I mean, it's good for the Bears, I guess.
Like I said, B+. They got better, but they did overpay in some spots, so it can't be higher. All right, NFC South here. Let's start with the Bucs, C-. Any season you're rolling with Baker Mayfield as your starter, you're at least at best a C+. At best, if you're rolling with Baker Mayfield as your starter.
Yeah.
So it's a C- because they have no talent around him either. I mean, even your best players like Devin White and them, they're all requesting trades. Nobody wants to be in Tampa. This is the fallout effect from Tom. You see it with LeBron in the NBA, right? Goes to Cleveland, wins a championship, leaves, they disintegrate for 3 years. Just awful, dreck, unwatchable for 3 years.
Yeah.
The Bucs are just gonna unfortunately suck for the next year or two, at least. But good news is, and hear me out, could they have the weakest roster in the league? It's close. It's got to be bottom 5.
it's regressing.
Do they have a chance at Caleb Williams?
I think
Or Drake
so.
May?
I
think
so.
they have a chance.
And I think that's really honestly their goal. Because why else would you sign Baker? Why else would you sign Baker? Do you think he's going to go out there and win a ton of games?
They
for
must
you?
think he's better than Kyle Trask. That's about it. Which isn't saying much.
Well, he probably is.
That probably is, yeah.
But he
yeah.
brings
some
Baker.
baggage.
Yeah.
Surprisingly, he's been out of the news, which is good for him. All right, Panthers A. I think Bryce Young was the best quarterback in the draft. They get Adam Thielen, a really savvy vet. Again, nothing special, but a really savvy number one, more of a number two. But in that offense, he could be a decent number one receiver.
Yeah.
Miles Sanders, I like him as a back. They added a couple pieces on the O-line, a couple pieces on the back end in the draft for some depth. I like the Panthers. Could they go win 8 games and compete for the division? Yeah. In a weaker NFC, for sure.
It's a very weak division.
Very, very weak division.
The thing is, we said their goal going into the draft, into the offseason, should just be acquire as much talent you can get at any position you can get it.
Yeah.
And I feel like they did that. They got
Couldn't agree more.
way more talented. And I think the pieces that they have are something that they can start to at least build around. Think about establishing somewhat of an identity. I don't even know what their identity is at this point.
Bryce Young and Frank Reich, cross your fingers.
Hopefully it works out.
I don't know. We'll see. Falcons, B-. The Falcons, I think, had a decent offseason, but the Bijan Robinson pick is a slight overdraft. You already have a good back on a roster full of other glaring needs.
Yeah.
But, to be fair, and I'll tell you right now, I will look like an idiot when he goes for 1,300 yards and 14 touchdowns as a rookie. And I said, oh, they overdrafted him. They'd be like, yeah, no, they didn't. Look how much production. Okay, well, if Algier was going to give you 1,000 yards, I mean, like whether Algier would give you 1,100 yards and 10 touchdowns, or Bijan Robinson's giving you 1,300 yards and 14 touchdowns, they're still going to win 5 or 6 games.
Are the extra 300 yards and 3 or 4 touchdowns really going to be that pivotal?
They're still, like, with or without Bijan Robinson, that's a 5 to 6 win team.
And we've talked about it before. Then you have to look at the opportunity cost, which is the thing that you gave up to get that option. And there were a lot of other places that you could have used talent outside of running back.
Couldn't agree more.
You gave up a lot.
I agree. Saints get a B. They didn't do anything except get Derek Carr, which is certainly an upgrade over Jameis Winston and Taysom Hill. But I would have liked to see some improvement other positions. But they're in cap hell because they push their future down the line for Drew Brees and all that. So
yeah,
that's not a viable team to me in the next year or two. Maybe 3-4 years down the road towards the back end of Derek Carr's contract if he's still able to perform at this level. So
well, now what you're seeing is like when a team goes all in for a Super Bowl run and doesn't get there.
And you're going to see with Tampa Bay too, who they did get one and then they lost one. Now you're going to see how awful they are.
It's very similar, like the tail off of those type of pushes, except you feel a little bit better when you have the Lombardi and the
Rams. The Rams were bad last year after pushing for one. Yeah, it's true.
When the Lombardi's in the trophy case, it makes you feel a little bit better about it, though.
Right. NFC East, the Eagles. For me, that's an A-. We were going through this. I was like, well, they lost their top safety, their top 2 linebackers. They lost a running back, and you go, well, they replaced them with DeAndre Swift. True. Didn't even think of that. Linebacker, they'll be fine. You can find linebackers everywhere. Safeties, it's fine. I like that they prioritized positions. Wide receiver, quarterback, offensive line, edge rusher. Right, they go get Jalen Carter. Well, he's more of a D lineman, but still, pass rush. Right, so for me, it's an A-. Right, sign Jalen Hurts. Perfect, get your quarterback for the future. Move off expensive, invaluable positions. Linebacker, safety, running back.
Yeah.
Get cheaper, younger, better at those positions. DeAndre Swift, guys in the draft. Makes a ton of sense to me. They re-signed, Kelsey, Lane Johnson, right? So they have their core pieces up front. Love the draft. Love the offseason. A- for the Eagles.
Yeah, and people that are going to bang on us for having them at an A-, can we look at it objectively and realistically? Like, even if you are from Philadelphia and you're watching this video, you have to be able to look at the team, realize you did good, pat yourself on the back for that. Absolutely, you won the draft, in my opinion. Won the draft. You lost a lot. It's not you lost some coordinators.
They lost a lot of pieces. Yeah, but didn't even mention that. Both coordinators. Like people are like, so? What are you talking about? So?
Did you see what happened to the Bills when Brian Daboll left?
I could not agree more.
Just saying.
I'm just agreeing. Cowboys B-. They also lost a coordinator, Kellen Moore, who I think is the best offensive coordinator. top 3 in football right now. Goes to a much better situation, so that's going to look bad for the Cowboys. They had Brandon Cooks. Yeah, convince yourself that he's a viable number 2. Sure, go for it. They lose Zeke, which is probably better for them production-wise, but they're still paying part of his salary because they guaranteed money. So it's a mess, but at the end of the day, they still do have functional quarterback, functional running back, really talented running back, and functional receivers. Not great, but good. So they're going to be competitive in a weaker conference, so you can't dock them too much.
Right, and if you can solve the back end of the defense, right, the secondary,
they got Gilmore. They got Gilmore to go opposite Trayvon Diggs, but still, Gilmore's aging, probably not what they needed.
I mean, it's something, but let's not forget how many passing yards they gave up last year.
It was bad. Washington, C-. I mean, you had the chance to draft Will Levis. You're going to convince yourself that Sam Howell or Jacoby Brissett is your quarterback. I'm so far beyond done with this organization. I think Ron Rivera's probably gone after this year when they go 6-11 because there's no viable quarterback option. I mean, offensively, they're dreck. And even defensively, they're supposed to have a insane front 7 and they're 20-something in league. It's ridiculous. I'm done with this organization, C-.
That's what happens when it's so just ill run.
It's awful. Thank God they finally got sold. And they actually just got bought. That's, I think, finalized now. But whatever. I don't care. They're still going to suck. Giants at C+. The schedule sucks. That's not helping them at all. You overpay for a quarterback, overpay for a defensive lineman. Now Saquon's going to hold out for a contract. You acquired 0 talent on the outside that is an actual viable, proven NFL talent player. There's nothing to like about this team, in my opinion. I think they regress way back to the mean. I think they win 6 to 7 games.
And you didn't just overpay at quarterback. You overpaid at a tremendously average quarterback. It's one thing if you overpay for somebody that's going to win you games and going to be super productive and top of the league. You're not getting any of that from Daniel Jones.
No, he's not good. NFC West. Seattle, B+. First of all, they re-signed Geno on a team-friendly deal. Love that. Geno's a very competent quarterback. You get Charbonnet to go in the backfield with Kenneth Walker. That's a great 1-2 punch.
Yeah.
You go get Jackson Smith and Jigba to pair in with Lockett and Metcalf. Really, really nice top 5 to 6 trio in football. And then you get a DB to go opposite Tariq Woolen.
You sign a damn good DB.
Yeah. Devin Witherspoon is that's a beautiful pick with the number 5 overall pick. So Seattle got a lot better. Now, granted, Geno is still limited. He's good, still limited. Offensive line still has some holes up the middle, and I don't love their safety situation. I think they're overpaid at safety. That's my problem.
I think so too.
So that keeps them at a B+, but still, very, very good offseason. They should be just fine.
You look at Geno Smith, that's the contract that Daniel Jones should have. Team-friendly deal where you can still sign pieces that are going to support him. Because Geno's not going to be the guy that can put the team on his back. But Geno is the guy that can win games when you have a great running back duo like you have good weapons that surround him, and you have a pretty good offensive line. So, I think
it's them. I think it's them and the Niners for the division.
I think so too. Not the Rams.
Rams are a tier down, I think. Let's go to the Rams. They're a B- for me. They moved off almost all the defensive pieces. Ramsey's gone. Bobby Wagner's gone. Basically, it's Aaron Donald and everybody else. See ya. And they're getting cheaper on defense, cheaper and younger, and they're putting a lot of money into offense. You have to support Stafford. And McVay's going to leave if you can't give him some pieces to work with. So Stafford, Kupp, right? You got to give them some help. They're trying to this offseason. Hasn't been super successful. So for that, a B-.
McVay's got 1 foot out the door already.
I think so too. I think he's going to go broadcast. I really do.
I think he should. I think he's had a fantastic
career.
He'd be really good at it. He had a great career.
He's so young.
Don't destroy yourself. Though. Yeah, it is weird. But don't destroy yourself by attaching to an organization that is on a downslide right now.
It's fair.
Or move. Or go to a different team.
Could.
Shop a little bit. Look at the market.
Maybe he does a Sean Payton. Leaves, broadcasts for a year, comes back.
Yeah.
Cardinals, C. Kyler's not going to play, so you don't know what you're getting at quarterback. You could get Paris Johnson, which is a very, very serviceable pick. I think he's going to be – definitely has the most upside of any tackle in this last draft, right? Really, really big dude, good footwork, but not a lot of talent outside of that. D-Hop once traded. Buda Baker is probably gone. It's just – not a ton of talent all over the roster. Again, like the Bucks, probably a bottom 3 roster. If they have the number 1 pick, I would argue draft Caleb Williams and move off Kyler.
Why not? I mean, Kyler isn't.
That's what I would do.
Yes, he's special with his feet, and he can run. But is that what you're looking for?
He doesn't stay healthy enough. He's not consistent enough. I don't think he's mature enough.
Way
for the
too undersized, and no, not at all.
Yeah, the Niners get a B minus. I mean, look, they drafted a kicker with their second pick in the 3rd round. Like, what are we doing? What are we doing? Good news is I actually do like the Sam Darnold acquisition. I think he plays very similar to like a Trey Lance. So if that was your quarterback duo, could be worse. They play similar. You don't have to change the offense. They still have some talent, but they're aging. And like I said, you drafted a kicker. Like, what are we doing?
Yeah, it's not great. And like I said, we were talking about it before we came on. They have a great roster, but they have a question mark at the most important position in football and really the deciding factor for a season. You can have a great roster, but if you don't have the dude at the helm and the right guy playing quarterback, no, it doesn't. It really doesn't matter. So take it with a grain of salt.
Yeah, there's our grades. NFC. Go watch the AFC one if you didn't.
Yeah, the video to the AFC grades will be linked in the description of this one, so you can just bounce back and forth.
How about it?
Right there.
Let's go.